Welcome to Hopscotch-N-Jacks,
a podcast where we take our inner child
back to school to unpack and unlearn
the lessons that shaped us to better ourselves
and our futures. I'm Karen.
And I'm Justice.
Let's go.
And now it's time for our morning announcements.
Do you ever feel like there's like a shadow hanging over you from your past? Mm-hmm. That feeling of needing to make things right, not just with others, but with your younger self. That journey that we're doing right now, that healing our inner child, we're talking about atoning for things in the past.
So atoning as in making amends with a situation that may have happened as a kid that you still feel guilty for today. And so you want to make sure you clear the air before you go night-night forever. I mean, I think
that
it went
dark.
I mean, I think that's what it is. You know, it's like I see the nations coming together, be like, oh, let me pay reparations to all the different groups that we've done wrong to, you know? And then there are times that we may have bullied someone as a kid, and then as an adult, it's like, oh man, that was kind of wrong. It's like the 12-step program, you know, when you got to get on a phone call and be like calling people to say, I apologize for acting this way. That's one way of making atonement too. That's all I'm asking. It's like atonement, you know? What does that even mean? I know we're going to get into it in this episode, but till death does us part or some shit, you know? We gotta be atoning all our lives.
Okay. Well, what I think we're gonna do today.
Take the reins, reel us back in.
Yeah, I kind of want to just explore the concept of the righting historical wrongs.
Yep.
And that can apply to our personal hurts from the past. And I think it also can apply to us in the world.
Yep.
Other people in the world, family, friends, us, the government, us as civilians, and the government as, you know, the people who are supposed to be protecting us. You know, we elect them and then we expect them to be there for us.
Mm-hmm. And so therefore, carrying on, this is what we want you guys to learn from this episode. Because we're not going to do a deep dive into the government, so to say, but just some things that have taken place in the past. But, you know, we want you to be able to apply atonement to historical injustices that may have happened, to see how that has happened with the different nations. Also, for you to understand that deep connection with atoning from the past hurts, and you're nurturing your inner child at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then you're gaining a new perspective on forgiveness. It's not just for others, but for your younger version as well, for trying to survive and forgiving so many things that we may have held on to or just thought we couldn't ever let go of. So this is just an opportunity to discover, learn, and apply these things.
Indeed. Okay. So if you resonate with what we're exploring today, hit that share button. Share this with someone who may benefit from this topic. You can listen together and share your feedback. We would greatly appreciate your comments, likes, and the opportunity to learn with you.
But before we get into our learning and exploring and shit, let's just remember one thing. Mm-hmm. Don't be looking at me like I'm crazy, friend. We're not therapists, number one. And we're not psychologists. Mm-hmm. I'm not a professor. You're a professor?
Only in my dreams.
And we're not dreaming. So... With that noted and said, we are not teachers, we are student teachers. Because again, I'm gonna repeat it, we're not teachers.
No.
Not your teachers, not my teachers, we're just student teachers. And this is us learning and sharing this journey with you. So, boom.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the heart of it. The word atonement can feel so heavy. It often makes us think of punishment or guilt. But what if we saw it as something different? More like an act of love or reconciliation.
Yeah. So if you break down atonement, it is literally at-one-ment. The idea of becoming one with yourself and with others. It's about bringing things back into balance. This isn't just a personal thing either. We see it on a global scale. Think about reparations for historical wrongs like slavery or colonialism.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like the U.S., for example, there's always been conversations around reparations for slavery. And that's been ongoing for centuries. And one of the drawbacks is like there's so many people who would say things like, why should I pay for something that happened centuries ago? Why am I paying for the sins of my ancestors? That's not who we are as a people today. But, you know, I'm not going to touch that. I'm just not going to touch it. But when you look at how other nations have handled their past, the picture is just a little different.
Right. There are countries like Germany that have paid for reparations for two victims of the Holocaust. They have an ongoing effort to acknowledge the immense harm and the responsibility of the things that they did. There are harsh punishments for people who wear the swastika or spew any anti-Semitic rhetoric in public.
Yeah, and like in the U.S., you know, we have a very, very different story with this. The closest we've come to an apology is paying reparations to Japanese Americans who in turn during the World War II, I do believe. That was a formal recognition of a past wrong, a significant step toward atoning for that injustice. It shows that it can be done. That's the whole point. Like us doing that, but it wasn't just the Japanese. It was also the Jews that we paid reparations to for our participation in what took place in Germany.
Right.
In a version of reparations to Native Americans, which one was a financial settlement in which they were given finances, but they were like, this isn't good enough. I don't need for you to give me money.
Right.
You know, you've taken away our land. You've taken away something that we identify with because we are one with nature. We are one with the motherland, right? So they wind up giving land as well.
Yeah, land back.
Land back. They apologized in 2009 for the Sovereignty and Self-Determination Act. That's what was passed, which is interesting because those reservations that they were given their land back, they don't have to pay taxes to the government. You know, they can run themselves as their own little state or country, technically, right? So that was a sense of freedom that separates reparations that are given to other groups of people versus to the Native Americans, right? Now, then we have us.
Black people, African Americans,
you know?
Negroes.
And us Negroes were given 40 acres in the mule and after the Civil War. That was the agreement. For all these years, we're giving you 40 acres and the mule so that you can get started with your life, right? But unfortunately, in 1865, President Andrew Johnson overturned that and returned the land to the former Confederate owners, which goes against everything that we talk about in reparations. Like you giveth and then you taketh away. So then in 2008 and 2009, there was formal apologies that took place in our Congress, but they still wouldn't pass the bill like the HR 40 bill from 1989. And if you want to know what the HR 40 bill is, it's actually a way to pay reparations. It's actually a way to give reparations to African Americans. And yet again, it's been going on since 1989, y'all. It was not passed. So I don't really understand where atonement happens for one specific group of people, but then it's not for another specific group of people that, to be honest, which got us, America, in the position that it has been in for the past 400 plus years. After all these years, we're still looking for reparations, and I just don't understand why it's so hard for our country to recognize, acknowledge, versus wanting to really whitewash the historical past of the things that the U.S. has done to a group of people. This is where I'm torn. Okay. I'm torn with this atonement situation because historically we can see atonement happening for other groups of people, right? Other cultures are doing it, other nations are doing it. But when it comes to United States and our people, Black people, that is something our country finds hard to actually do, to actually show real atonement to African Americans.
I don't know if we are ever going to get there. I feel like that is not likely, and it makes me sad because of the fact that we want to deny it. And I don't say we as in Black folks, I mean we as the people in power in this country. And it's not just the current administration, it is also past administrations, because this has been going on since the end of slavery. And that has been more than 150 years ago. So I don't see it ever changing. But for this podcast, I think what we should be talking about is how this concept of national atonement relates to our inner child.
Okay.
So
how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to look at the places inside of us that are still in pain from this stuff. Maybe it's not a feeling of not being good enough or being abandoned. That's our inner child crying out for at-one-ment. That our people literally are trying to be at one with this country, but this country has kept us very much separate. It's worse than the redheaded stepchild. We are the black-skinned stepchildren, you know? So let's get into some specifics about this topic.
All right, so, our listeners, thank you for staying with us, but what we really want you to know is the power of recognition. You know what I'm saying? Think about the national reparations, for example. At a national level, they took the first step in recognizing the situation and apologizing. Now, it may not have been for everyone, us, but it was for different groups of people. And so at a national level, when you're able to take that first step and say, we did something wrong and this is what we like to do in order to show how deeply we are grieving what we've done, that's a powerful thing. And that's something as a child that we begin to pick up on is, okay, my government was able to acknowledge something that was completely wrong and they did the right thing. That should also impact your inner child. We're going to keep going because, we have a little nuances with that, but that's what it should do. Another thing is, as an inner child, we need to recognize that pain and the fear that those moments may have caused and the neglect or trauma during those situations. Because let's face it, we can't heal if we don't acknowledge it. So being able to say, I see you, little one, can be powerful. And it validates your younger you's experience and tells them that that pain is real and it matters. But I want to say, as a kid, I experienced a situation in the 3rd grade. I teased this young girl. At the time, when you're a kid, let's just face it, you don't know shit about shit. And you're making assumptions or you don't realize the dynamics of another family's upbringing. I didn't know that people could go to public schools and their family be living in a car or living on the streets. And I don't know if this was that person's situation, but what I do know is that she would come to school dirty sometimes. She would also have holes in her clothes, and she had a very strong odor about her, right? And so we would tease her. And I was a part of the teasing party. Yeah. To the point where she would cry in class.
Oh, no.
And so it was so much so that she was crying in class that the following year in 4th grade, her family, they moved. And, I went to a school that from kindergarten all the way up to the 5th grade, you had the same kids there unless they moved away, right? So 4th grade, I hit some type of hormonal change. And I was breaking out like a bat out of hell. And my face not only had acne, but had a lot of scarring. That kids would literally take a pin out, people that's supposed to be my friends, and like pretend like they're connecting the dots on my face. And so at that moment, I was experiencing being teased, and I felt the pain and the hurt. And every time this happened, I was ashamed to come to school. I was like, I didn't want to show my face. I didn't want anyone to see me. And I had this self-doubt of like, am I pretty or am I acceptable? Every time I walk into a room, are they seeing this? And it affected me outside of school too, right? And so all I could do was think about this young girl from the 3rd grade. And I remember praying one time saying, if I ever see her again, I'm going to apologize. The universe and God said, bet. 5th grade year, she was back. When I saw her come into the room, I saw fear in myself. I felt the fear in myself. I felt the pain that I had been experiencing, but then also the fear that this person was experiencing when they were in the 3rd grade, and coming into a classroom where a lot of the peers were still the same peers that teased her in the 3rd grade. I saw her, I embraced her, and I apologized. And I was like, it's never gonna happen again. I got you. You're gonna, and the thing is, she was like, it's okay. It's like, it's all right. She's like, thank you. I was like, no. I want you to know that I'm really sorry about this.
All right.
And it's kind of set a standard of how, like, from that moment, anybody that I saw was getting bullied or teased at school, I would try to step in and try to help protect them.
Yeah.
Because it's fucked up. I don't think you realize how fucked up it is until you're on the other end, you know, but when you have some type of feeling inside and can put one and one together and attach it to someone else's feelings and their emotions, then I feel like you have true atonement, because you acknowledge that you did something wrong, you do it in public, right? And then you actually make the actions to correct it.
Right.
That's where course correction comes in.
Yeah.
Right? As an adult, anytime I'm in this situation where I feel like someone's being wronged or anything like that, that inner child, that voice comes up. It's like, do you remember 3rd, 4th grade? Because at the end of the day, it will always be a two-way street.
Yeah.
And what I mean by a two-way street is about atoning for what was done to you and what you did for yourself in response. Did you ever experience anything like that where you feel like you need to have atonement for anything that may have happened to you as a kid, or maybe how you handled some things as a kid?
Well, I mean, I can think of 2 things similar to you and in similar grades. One, I was bullied from 3rd to 5th grade by this one person, this one girl who hated me because her best friend was also my best friend. Like, we were just...
She was competitive?
The other girl was, the bully was. And so she would just pick on me. I was very quiet, and I was taught not to get in trouble. I was taught to be quiet, and, you know, I also had older siblings who, you know, kind of conditioned me not to do those things. And, you know, I didn't want to get in trouble. So I let this girl say whatever she wanted to say to me. She said a lot of things that were very, very hurtful. That as an adult, there's like this little part of me that feels like it's true, you know? And so I'm still working through that shit. And so I never really stood up for myself until it got physical. So at some point, she would get tired of saying words and me not responding. And, you know, she would push me or hit me, and then I got to let loose. I did, you know, I fought back physically, you know. So, because I was just taught, you know, sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but words will never hurt you. You know, I absolutely was just kind of like, you know, let me throw some bows. So as an adult, I'm still trying to unpack some of that stuff. And I, you know, have to tell my little self, my innie, that, you know, you don't have to believe the stuff that she said. She was saying lies. She was just trying to hurt me, you know. And I have to ask myself for forgiveness because I let that happen. I let that impact me. You know, and it impacted me until I am an adult. Like at 40, yeah. I still have to worry about that shit, you know? So that is the one thing that I wish I could go back and fix. And then the other thing is something that happened when I was in 7th grade. I still had, it wasn't the same situation. Occasionally 7th graders are bitchy. And so I had to deal with some bullying, but it wasn't like the constant everyday thing. And there was this one girl who, she smelled like pee. And as an adult, I recognize that a 12-year-old who smells like pee is probably either neglected or neglected unintentionally. Like they don't have the ability to wash her clothes or for her to take baths or anything else like that. Like as an adult, I feel really, really bad because she said some shit to me one day, and the next day I came prepared with a song to sing to her. And so I sang it to her in front of the whole class. It wasn't intentional. It was really just for her and her friends to hear. But turns out like a lot of people were listening. And so they sang the song. And I struggle with that one because I feel like she asked for it. And at the same time, as an adult, I'm like, I feel bad about the fact that she probably was being neglected or just
doing what she was taught.
But also, she just didn't have what she needed at home in order to come to school not having that problem.
Yeah. And, a lot of times bullies and people are trying to deflect what's happening to them and try to put the focus on someone else.
Yeah. It takes a lot of growth to be okay with that, though.
Yeah.
To see that and be like, oh, I feel bad for you. I'm not there yet. I'll be honest with you. I'm in therapy working on that. I'm trying to get there.
Trying to let go of that pain?
Yeah, because it really, really stuck with me. Like I said, like sticks and stones will never hurt me. Words will never hurt me.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
But that's not true.
Yeah.
They did hurt me, and I still have to deal with that. So that's the hard thing. I'm just trying to grow, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. I mean, I was taught that too, and that's just, I think that was somebody's, by creating a little nursery rhyme, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, was just a way to mentally get you ready for what's coming and how to control your emotions with that. Now it doesn't really work because words hurt. Words will leave more of an impression, an imprint on somebody longer than something that happens to you physically.
Right.
Unless it's something so bad that, it's a physical change that you have to live with. But some people don't deal with that physical change, but that mental from the words, from the things, from the experiences, that sits with you a lot longer because a bruise on your face may heal, but the words that came before those bruises, they're always there.
Yes, that's very true. And I also think that those nursery rhymes are taught to teach you to be meek and let it go.
Yeah. So, what's another thing that we need to take in consideration with atonement and the things that have happened in our past?
It's really that thing where you have to forgive yourself. Because you might have that self-criticism, the negative self-talk that holds you back. There's a part of you that says, I'm sorry for how I treated you after you were hurt, and I'm going to do better now. Or that part that should be saying that, but you aren't quite there yet. You have to recognize that is needed. And a lot of people don't recognize that.
Yeah.
And, what's interesting is I feel like our caregivers are the people who kind of started that off for us.
Which can be a very sticky situation because our caregivers can be our parents, teachers, babysitters, older siblings.
Yep.
So it's always like a personal feeling towards them versus like an outsider. And you kind of have to understand, like, sometimes the way they were treating you was out of their understanding, how do you protect the ones that you love? And then some are just assholes, right?
Yeah. But most of, I think, in my opinion, most of them are doing what they were taught. That 16-year-old that treats you bad was probably treated badly. You know, that parent who was too strict, they were taught that, especially a Black parent, were taught that the way that we survive is to conform, be quiet, let things happen, don't fight back, don't, engage in that thing, let it roll off your back because sticks and stones, And
that takes us back to slavery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't say something because master's gonna come beat you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm going to beat you because I'm not going to leave welts on you. Instead, I'm going to get you to conform to however they need you to be so that you never find yourself in trouble. We are taught, if you get pulled over, put your hands on the wheels, don't say anything. Say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Don't offer any feedback. Don't offer anything else. Like, we are taught that,
You're not smart. Play dumb.
Exactly. The fact that the go-to for correction is really whipping your kid. And that is because we were taught that is how you handle, that is correction. Correction was whipping and
beating.
I
can't even say whipping because it was beatings.
Yeah. And it's hard for us to reconcile that. And we're still trying to break those patterns. It is a terrible, terrible thing that we got from slavery. And, those things aren't even talked about. Like those things aren't even considered in HR 40.
Yep.
Like we still have to unpack and unlearn those things. What are some things that we can do to reconcile some of those things with our caretakers?
I think you gotta dig deep and have that hard conversation.
Yes.
I've
tried.
What's so weird is we're dig deep and have those hard conversations, but sometimes the people that you need to have those conversations with, they don't want to have the conversations because they take it as you being critical of them, or they have to acknowledge that they did something wrong.
Yes.
And maybe they're not ready or understanding what it is to say a heartfelt apology, or to recognize that this is an opportunity for them to atone for what they did.
Right.
And, especially if they're coming from a place like we just said, this is how they were brought up. This was their way of showing how much they cared and loved you.
Yeah.
Because that was what was done to them and what has been passed on from generation to generation.
Yes.
And you were coming to a place in your life that you're breaking generational curses.
Trying.
And it's saying, no, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
If you want to yell, if you want to go, that's fine. We're going to stay in this room and we're going to work through this. And hoping that we can get, maybe even if it's not an apology, some type of opportunity to accept the answer that's given to us, provided to us, shared with us.
If there's one.
Because
honestly, I tried to have the conversation and it was, I don't remember that. Why is it that you never remember things that I want to talk about? I find that's quite disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to allow any room of forgiveness.
Yeah, because it feels like you're denying my experience.
Or you're minimizing it.
That too. And it's like, that doesn't help me to work through these patterns that I want to break. It only makes me feel like, am I in some kind of alternative universe where I have these memories of these terrible things that happen and you can just turn them off? You don't remember these things?
Can I get that switch?
Right.
I would love to have that switch.
Right.
But then if I had that switch, then I would never been able to atone for what I did to the girl in the 3rd grade.
Right, but that's
the whole point.
Right.
If say you can't have that conversation and you can't offer that forgiveness or get any type of answer, another way is just writing a letter to the person that is not in your life. Even if it's just a letter that you put into a box. But you can try to write out what you want to share. If you have a parent that, a caregiver, a friend, or anybody who's still in your life, but it's hard to say something to them because you'll probably get cut off, or I get that reaction, I don't remember. But if you're able to put it down in writing and mail it to them, yes, I said mail. Email, whatever. It's old school, but it's also a way for you to really express your feelings. If you're able to share that, don't share it on social media. No. This isn't for you to get some likes or hearts or whatever the hell you try to do, because that's not true atonement. That's not even true apology. That's just you trying to get validation from your so-called followers. But if you're able to like really communicate and send this into words, maybe they'd be like, man, this person actually sat down and wrote this out. And you know what? You might read it, or they might read it and be like, what the hell? That's not how I remember it. And if they have gone through a growth, they might be, maybe we should talk about this, because I'm going to be 100% honest with everybody. Your perception of what's taking place right now in the room that you're in with another person may well be extremely different than what their perception is. So if you're not able to recognize that the way you input things and the way your friend or family member may input things, then you're just not allowing that room and that space to learn and grow yourself. Because then you'd be like, damn, I said it like that. I didn't realize it came off like that.
Right.
You know, or that was your experience. I remember that. I have this with my sister sometimes. Childhood experiences, exact same experience. I was like, I didn't even experience that way. And I'm thinking, is my memory off? You know? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, I can see where she was seeing it, but I also see my stance. And it's okay to be in the same room and have two different perspectives. But it's also necessary for you to recognize the other person's perception.
Right.
Don't just discount them and write them off.
Indeed.
So that's how I feel. What's up? What else, my friend?
You can make a new contract with yourself.
Okay.
You can say, hey, I had this happen to me, and I am never going to allow this to happen again. You make a promise to yourself, and if it needs to be written down, if you need to cement it for yourself, do it. But either way it goes, you know that this is no longer a thing that I am going to allow to happen. I promise to protect myself from now on, so that I'm not apologizing when I'm 50 to my 40 something self. Yeah, I know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just say whatever you need to say. I will speak to you kindly. I will listen to what you need. You know, just make sure that you say those things and mean it. Don't just say it to be saying it because we told you to say it. I'm writing this down because Justice and Karen said this. No.
We're student teachers. Remember that. We're not your therapist. We're not your professor. We're not your psychologist. You can write it down, take what you learn, and then go talk to your therapist about it. Yeah. And then you can say, I learned this from Hopscotch-N-Jacks podcast with Karen and Justice.
Yeah. What else, Fran?
Set some boundaries, set some boundaries. Practice self-care, as we talk about. Make conscious choices that serve your well-being. It's that ongoing work. It's not a one-time event. Just because you create a new contract and you put it in writing and you say you're going to do this, you got to follow through with daily actions.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do that, then I don't know what to tell you. And remember that through your actions and our thoughts, it's not just about our actions and our thoughts. It's also about being loving and reliable to yourself, because you are now a parent of that any.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how I perceive it. Yeah.
I'm with you, because this is not blaming ourselves for the past. It's about taking responsibility for our healing in the present.
Yeah.
It's a sacred contract.
Yeah. And it's not about blaming those people of our past either, because we can say because of what you did, this is how I responded. But as you get older and you understand, like, I didn't know living conditions could be like this, or this is how they were taught. Like, acknowledging the fact that your parents were taught a certain way, your friends were taught a certain way, and everybody is responsible for making the changes in their life for the betterment of themselves. We can't hold them accountable for the things that we need to do for ourselves. We have to hold ourselves accountable. But being a bigger person, going high when they go low, is an important thing as well. So don't just be like, boom, 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 because that's going to cut off any type of formal communication.
Well, I mean, the whole point of this episode is about atonement, and that includes forgiveness. So make sure that is what's happening and not a finger-pointing session.
Yep.
What about some homework?
I don't know. You want to assign it? Because this is deep.
Yeah. So your homework for this week is a simple yet powerful act of at-one-ment with yourself. You should find a quiet moment, close your eyes, and visualize yourself as a child. It could be you at 5, 10, as a teenager, 20, 30, whatever the age.
40-something?
Yeah. Sit with that image for a minute. Then, with an open heart, say to your younger version, I see you, I am here for you now, and I'm sorry for the times you were hurt or felt alone.
Write it down in a journal and write down how you felt. You know, this is your first step on the path of atoning and healing your inner child.
I think it's time we go after school. We take a dip in the pool, which is really on the wall.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
I gotta turn the TV so I can see the Sparks play basketball.
She was on beat again, people's 2 episodes in a row, and she changed the lyrics up. Clever.
I think it was the 3rd episode in a row. Count it right.
All right.
Sucker.
Boo. Gotcha.
All right, then. So it is time to talk about what we got going on. What you got going on, Justin?
For self-care, I am...
Actually, what you got going on?
Okay. Damn, son. All right, so right now, what I'm doing is pretty much focusing on communication.
Yes.
Yeah, I went back to that. I think I've done well with communicating, but someone told me I should pay attention to what I say to someone, because your perception of what you're saying and what they're hearing might be 2 different things.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a negative thing. It was more like, just pay attention because you don't know what they are remembering from that experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Real talk.
And you, my friend?
Writing. I'm doing the writing. I'm getting the writing done. I'm checking the writing.
I'm writing in space.
I see. That's good penmanship, friend.
Thank you.
What you doing for self-care?
For self-care, I am releasing. I've been able to get some rest. Making sure I'm getting the sleep at a decent time.
That's good.
Waking up at a decent time.
Yeah.
And not trying to empty out my brain at night so I can sleep instead of going to sleep with a bunch of stuff on my brain.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. What about you for self-care?
I just booked a vacation. I'm very, very excited. I am going to be leaving LA at some point, and it's going to be great because I will be out of LA and no working and just taking time off to just be me, be free.
You going by yourself? The solo trip or?
No, I'm going to go with my sissy.
Your sissy? You have a sissy?
My sister.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
No one says sissy. Who says sissy?
Me and my sissy.
Oh. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Excuse you.
Now it's time for the time capsule.
Yeah.
It's time for the time capsule. It's time for the time capsule. It's time for the time capsule.
It's time for the time capsule. What you taking out of the time capsule, my friend?
Me?
Yeah.
Let's start with you. What are you taking out?
Okay, so I have a book that I used to love as a kid called Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. It was about a little girl whose family was growing up, I think it was Mississippi, but as I was rearranging my bookshelf this past weekend or a week and a half ago, and I came across the book and I just remembered how much it touched me. And it kind of speaks to the time in which we are talking about. We're talking about Reconstruction and Black people in the South. And it was a book trilogy. The first book was Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. The second one was Let the Circle Be Unbroken. And the third one was Song of Trees. And it was from Mildred D. Taylor. And it was one of the first books that really, really touched me about Black people, because a lot of the books that I read when I was a kid were about white folks. So, and of course, it's kind of sad. There are sad moments because it's of the time it was taking place, but it was such a good book. So I will bring back graphics if you check that out.
Nice.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to go back to my childhood home and go back to my room that we painted yellow with a rainbow bright theme. One thing for sure, I thought it was, I'm laughing because as an adult, I'm like, wow, what a girly looking room as compared to how I present my place now. But I don't know what it was about Rainbow Bright that had me hooked. I don't know if it was the rainbows and that was a telltale sign. But I think it was the fact that the education or the storytelling was be who you are. Because I also had a Care Bear theme room as well. Game with the rainbows and the colors. Gay. And tell me you're gay without saying you're gay. As a kid, there you go. But I think doing that time in that room, that's where the magic happened for me, where I could explore my creativity, realize who I was in that room. I go back to this space because this is where I was becoming the most creative person, that this little person that I was. From drawing to dancing in my room to acting, and these days would be talking to yourself, but being able to fantasize about where I wanted to be as an adult. It was always the industry, it was always dance, it was always music. And those shows, the Care Bears and Rainbow Bright, the messaging that was shared on those shows made me feel like I can be anything that I want to be. Yeah. And making sure that it's not just one shade of color. This shade of color is all the colors of the rainbow that you can be, And so that's where I would go back to, that moment in my childhood where I was in my room and I closed my eyes and I dreamed.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Thank you, friend.
Yeah. So what can I do for some extra credit?
Well, just for extra credit, they can write to us. They can write to us at hopscotch-and-jacks@gmail.com. Give us some feedback. Let us know a topic you might want us to cover, and share a story if you like, and we can possibly build an episode around it. Now, if you want that extra credit that Karen was talking about, you can always
follow us at Karen Got This with a C and a Y on Instagram, or
you can follow me personally at Art of Justice with the IS, not an ICE, on Instagram, as well as our Hopscotch-N-Jacks pod on
Instagram.
yes as well.
Yeah, Instagram.
All right, so go ahead, do what you got to do. Add a like, add a comment, hit that subscribe button right there. Leave, you know what I'm saying? Leave a little love. Share the shit out. We'd love for you to share it. You know, and that's about it. That's the show. I hope you have atoned for everything that you've gone through in your life and you figure that out.
Yeah. Peace.
Deuces.